It looks like changes from having kids, and then all of a sudden she has that other butt. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm Dr. Gary Motykie, and I'm a board-certified Beverly Hills plastic surgeon. And today we're going to talk about Larsa Pippen. She's in her mid-40s, and she was married to Scottie Pippen. And she's also known to be ex-best friend of Kim Kardashian. Some speculation maybe that she's changing her look to look a little bit more like Kim. So we're going to talk about that. And I guess there's been some talk about that. She's also on the Real Housewives of Miami. And I guess there's been some discussion on that as well. So I thought we'd go through her photos and see what we think about the changes in her face. Before we get into Larsa's face, I always like to talk about the body as well. Now we know that she's had changes in her life, right? She's definitely had breast augmentation. And then there's some questions about her body. She's had children, things change. There are some photos out there that looks like she possibly may have done what's called a Brazilian butt augmentation, or taken fat from one end of her body and put it into the butt to augment it. And there are some photos out there that are suspicious for that, but also there could be, again, weight change with pregnancy, weight gain, weight loss, but definitely a breast augmentation and possibly some work done to augment the buttocks.
Before you go any further, I don't want the haters to come for you, so I just want to call out that if she didn't have a BBL, she probably could have done Renuva or Sculptra or some other non-surgical innovation.
Yeah, I mean, the photos are so all over the place that that's why I'm not giving a definite answer on that, because some of the photos look too dramatic to possibly be surgically done. So did they Photoshop it? Is it really her butt? Did they change the photos? It's a little sketchy there, so I'm not 100% sure on that. And yes, could she have done different fillers like Sculptra and Renuva? Yes, but it would have had to been a large volume to get that sort of a dramatic effect. So there could be a combination of things. Like I said, maybe a little bit of grafting, maybe a little bit of Renuva and filler. That's what most people are doing now, is combining these things. But again, the photos are so all over the place. I haven't really seen one that said definitely yes or no.
Yeah, the tricky thing with her is, like, we know what her butt looks like right now. Like, everyone on the show is like, her butt, her butt, her butt. There's not a lot of photos of her butt before, so it's hard to gauge just how much, quote, growth was experienced.
It could have been a little bit of changes in weight, could have been other things. Could there be a little augmentation? Probably a little bit of all of the above. But you're right, it was hard to find some, side-by-side before and afters to really compare them accurately. So that's why I'm saying it's hard to say from the photos I've seen. If we look back at Larsa about 10 years ago and her first stint with the Real Housewives, we can see that her face was a little bit more of a longer face, a little bit narrower. And then we do see some lip filler, and then most likely some fillers into the face, which is very typical, just a little touch-ups here and there, making her kind of maintain her youthfulness a little bit. But definitely I see some volume in the lips and the mid-face, and just kind of, again, blending and softening her features. Then as we move forward, again, I think some of the commotion might be about the change that we see in the new seasons of the Housewives, where her face has changed significantly. And what do we think is going on there? I think over the next 5 to 10 years, we do see some changes in Larsa's face, right? And again, there's some talk about she moved to LA for a stint, before she went back to Miami. And a lot of these changes mysteriously happened while she was in Los Angeles and kind of hanging around Kim Kardashian and that group. And you can kind of see some of her facial features changing. I'm not saying she's trying to be Kim or look like Kim, but we do start to see some of those IG looks, changes in her face. I think one thing that I noticed for sure is her nose. Her nose has definitely changed. Now, what could have happened there? I think there's even some giveaways that she may have had a prior rhinoplasty to even the photos we have now, because some of the changes we see in her nose, such as the pinch tip, the hanging columella, the inverted V deformity in the bridge of her nose, are some subtle signs that she may have had a rhinoplasty in her past. And now we see all those kind of signs of that rhinoplasty disappearing and a new nose appearing. So I'm extremely suspicious that a rhinoplasty was done. Could some of those changes have been done with just fillers and things to the nose, like a liquid rhinoplasty? Yes, but some of the other changes, I don't think so. So if we're looking at her nose, she goes from, like I said, a very narrow bridge with an inverted V deformity, which means that there's a separation of the bones here, and you can see across her bridge there what looks like an actual V. And then the tip's very pinched. This columellar piece is hanging down, and her nostrils are arched up. Now, when we look at her new nose, all of those things are gone. The bridge has been softened. The inverted V deformity is gone. It's a little bit wider but softer in the bridge. Then we go down to the tip of the nose. That pinch tip is gone. The hanging columella is corrected. It's raised up and it's not hanging down anymore. And the nostrils to me appear to have been also brought in just a little bit. So overall that nose went from that very contoured, kind of pinched looking nose to this softer, blended looking nose. So again, I think that's some sort of rhinoplasty was done for sure. And then the rest of the face. So her face kind of goes from, again, that longer, kind of narrow face to this softer, more heart-shaped, a little bit rounder face. We look under her cheeks and under her eyes. I'm a little suspicious of some fillers, just some softening there, as well as the lips. Again, we see some fillers in there. And then the jawline. I think the chin looks stronger. The jawline looks more proportional and contoured to the rest of her face. So overall, we see that face, again, becoming softer, a little bit rounder, more heart-shaped. So I think, again, she probably had some fillers done along with a rhinoplasty. So again, I think the overall view or gestalt kind of picture of Larsa's face is what we're tending to call now the IG look or the IG face. And again, maybe made somewhat famous by Kim Kardashian, right? That look of features that are really well-balanced, proportional, softened, and overall just this ambiguous mix of ethnic features kind of into this, like I said, generally speaking, a very symmetric, balanced face. So when somebody's taking, again, a thinner face and trying to soften it up and balance out the features and add a little to the chin, adjust the nose, but overall the look is very ambiguous. It's very soft, it's very pretty. And again, the overall effect is to try and bring out the eyes, shrink the nose a little bit, bring out the lips, and then create this more heart-shaped, balanced face. And we're seeing a lot of that right now. And I think, again, I think that's the look that Larsa now has achieved. And whether she likes it or not, that's her personal preference. But it does appear to me to have more of that IG looking face. So in general, I'm not saying that the look that Larsa has achieved is right or wrong. It's as long as you're desiring to look like everyone else. I think that overall it's a trend that we're seeing a lot of more and more and more lately. It's just a look that's starting to become very ambiguous, and a lot of people are starting to look the same. So I think a lot of people are picking up on that, and immediately they're going to, well, maybe she wanted to look like Kim Kardashian because she was hanging out with her. But I don't necessarily say that. I think it's more of an overall kind of this IG filtered, face-tuned kind of look that, again, really tends to lean towards this face that, again, not necessarily bad, is more balanced, softer, bringing out those facial features that have been traditionally beautiful, bringing out the eyes, bringing out the lips, softening the features, bringing the nose in, making it look a little smaller and balanced. So I think overall it's a very trendy look, and on the other hand, it's also a beautiful look. So it's like I said, as long as people don't mind kind of all starting to look kind of similar with this IG look, I think that is fine, and I don't think that it's a look that's too overly done or over-exaggerated. And in the end, probably will age with her very well as long as she maintains it and doesn't overdo it.
Whenever we do videos on people like Larsa, the comments are always like, rinse and repeat, this is the same person, you know? And you see a lot of that these days.
Yeah, well, it's just mathematically, ethnically, everything, it becomes proportionally balanced. Yes, okay, it's ethnically ambiguous and it's beautiful, but it has no character to it, or it's starting to just all blend into this exact same filtered IG face, and that's okay if you want that, but they are losing a little bit of their identity, you know, a little bit of, you know, when they overdo it, and you're kind of like, well, now who is that? It looks like everybody else on Instagram.